Welcome back, Sebastian here. So now I'm going to be doing my review for the Formula 2 Azerbaijan Sprint Race that just finished up. Pretty standard race, and then basically absolute chaos at the finish. So Versure started on pole, and Maloney started alongside him on the front row. Lap 1, there was contact right off the line between Martins, Maloney, and Versure. Martins basically gets a really good start and tries to cut very aggressively to the middle in between the two, and he has a bit of contact with, it looks like, both Maloney and Versure. And basically Maloney gets a puncture from this. He's forced to pit, and his race is over. For Versure, it looks like it may have damaged something on the back of the car, and then he basically clips into the front of turn 1, and it basically damages his front wing, and he loses his front wing, and he's retired from the race. So not very good, basically an absolutely terrible start for the two drivers who started on the front row. So after all of that, it ends up with Hauger leading the race, and then they're very slow going through turn 2 as well. There's yellow flags as well towards the end of the lap, where Versure loses his front wing, and he's forced to basically pull off and retire the car. Lap 3, Porsche overtakes Ralph Boschung for P6 at turn 3, so good move there by Porsche. And then there's yellow flags in sectors 2, the same lap, and basically they show Boschung's car stops right after the castle section, and it looks like he basically, going through the castle section, he kind of hit the wall on the inside of the exit and it broke the front suspension, so he was forced to retire the car. So unfortunate for him, but a bit of a silly small mistake there for Boschung. And this brings out the safety car. The safety car then is out, and then it comes back in at the end of lap 5, so we're back racing on lap 6 again. Pretty clean restart, no big drama or chaos. I remember the 2019 race, one of the restarts in I think the sprint race or the future race of that year, there was absolute chaos, and there was drivers at the back who basically jumped the gun, and it led to like 4 or 5 cars being knocked out. So luckily nothing like that happened this time. Let's see, so lap 7, Stanek overtakes Fittipaldi for P10, but then he basically loses the position right away. We didn't see it live. Basically, Stanek went a bit deep at turn 1, and he's basically forced to slow down a lot, and he loses a handful of positions because of that. And then the stewards announced no further action for the move at the start between Versure, Maloney, and Martins, which I think is fair. It's first lap and basically right off the line. But that being said, I think it was a bit aggressive for Martins, but I don't think it was harsh enough to warrant a penalty. I think Maloney was very unlucky just to get damage from it, and I think Versure got damage from it as well, so I think it's a bit unlucky all around. But then again, not really a penalty, I think. Let's see, lap 8, Behrman. This is where Behrman starts to make up a lot of ground. Behrman overtakes Porsche for P6 at turn 1, and he follows it up a lap later, overtaking Crawford for P5, and he also gets fastest lap on that lap. Lap 10, Vesti sticking really well with Daruvula for the final podium spot. However, Behrman, right behind them, is gaining quickly on that battle, so it looks like he wants to join the fight as well. Lap 11, Behrman overtakes Daruvula for P4 at turn 1. Iwasa then comes into the pits, championship leader Ayumu Iwasa. And he basically was going very slowly, and they showed a replay, and there was smoke coming out of the back of his car, so it looks like some kind of engine issue for Iwasa. So basically pits and he retires. So 0 points in the bag for the sprint race. I think he'll be quite happy with how the rest of the race turned out for him, from his perspective though, I think. Let's see, lap 13, Martins is keeping pressure on Hauger, keeping him honest, so the two of them were very close basically from lap 1 all the way through now. So this is lap 13, and Martins doing a really good job of keeping pressure on him. Lap 14, Nissany's in the wall. So Nissany basically goes a bit too fast and has a bit of a front lockup going into turn 15, and instead of taking the escape road, he basically tries to make the corner, and he basically just plows into it. So basically goes the whole left side of his car, or the whole right side of his car, was basically going through the wall, going through the tech pro barrier, and he's basically in the wall, and he's out of the race. So of course this brings out the safety car. Then safety car comes back in end of lap 18, so we got racing again, and then start of lap 19, absolutely all hell breaks loose, massive crash. So basically starts with Hauger basically goes a bit deep into turn 1. He basically clips the exit of the wall at turn 1. This causes him to basically spin a couple 10 meters later, and then he's forced to retire. Martins goes even deeper, just plows right into the wall. He's basically in the wall. Right behind him, Daruvula then crashes into the back of Martins, and basically, because he didn't really have anywhere to go, it wasn't really Daruvula's fault. And basically, Martin's car is on top of Daruvala's. Luckily, both drivers were okay, which is really all that matters. Further back down the field, Pourchaire basically looks like he went a bit deep as well, and so did Leclerc. Looks like Leclerc kind of tapped him and maybe forced him to keep going into the direction of the wall. Luckily, none of them get damaged, but they both kind of stop, and it looks like they stall. Doohan also basically retired. It looks like he just spun going into turn 1, so it looks like a bit of a clumsy mistake. Possible he was tapped behind by someone, but it's hard to tell. But anyway, this end results with Vesti P1 and Behrman P2, and somehow they don't call a red flag right away, and they just let them race all the way up till P7. But right before the safety car comes out, Vesti makes a really critical mistake. Behrman capitalizes and grabs the lead of the race. So basically, Behrman somehow grabs the lead on lap 19. And I wrote right away, there's no way that they're going to restart. There's way too many cars that need to be retrieved. They don't have enough equipment. They're probably just going to end under a safety car, and that's what turned out happening. So after the drivers did their best Australia 2023 impression, a pretty not boring but uneventful race, and then ending with a lot of excitement and chaos at the end, ends with Oliver Behrman, your pole sitter for tomorrow's feature race, winning from 10th place, I believe, and getting fastest lap as well. So full 11 points for him. Vesti 2nd, Crawford 3rd, Miney 4th, Fittipaldi 5th, Juan Manuel Correa 6th, Novalak 7th, Hadjar 8th, 9th Stanek, 10th Cordial, 11th Benavides. And those are the only drivers that finished the race. So 11 out of 22 drivers finished. Well done back you, I guess. And your retirements list are Hauger, Martins, Daruvula, Pourchaire, Leclerc, Doohan, Nissany, Boschung, Maloney, Verschoor, and Iwasa. Your championship standings after the sprint race, thanks to pretty much all the championship leaders scoring 0 points. Iwasa stays top of the table with 58 points, Pourchaire 2nd with 50, Vesti moves up to a tie for 2nd with 50 points. 4th is Boschung, still on 33, Leclerc 5th, 33, 6th Daruvula 32, 7th Miney 31, 8th Hauger 30, 9th Maloney 29 points with 25 points, Verschoor in 10th place, Doohan in 11th with 24 points, 12th Martins with 17 points, 13th moving up quite a bit is Behrman with 14 points, 14th Crawford with 14 points, Fittipaldi 15th with 13 points, Hadjar 16th with 12 points, Juan Manuel Correa 4th with 17 points, 18th Novalak with 2 points, first points of the season for him, 19th Roman Stanek, 20th, 21st, and 22nd, all with 0 points are Nissany, Cordial, and Benavides. So that's all for the Baku sprint race. Of course, I'll be back again tomorrow with the feature race. Hopefully a bit more excitement, consistent excitement through the field. And I think also Behrman has a chance to do something really special tomorrow, getting pole, sprint win, and feature race win. I hope, of course, I don't jinx it, but I thought he kept it clean, kept it out of trouble, and made some really nice overtakes on his own. So that's all for the sprint race. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.